ovarian cysts and anything endometrial, like endometriosis and stuff. Ladies, what is this? You're going to have to help me out. You're right. This is the lymph system. Ovarian cysts, endometriosis, fibroids, uterine fibroids. This is all the lymph system, not going anywhere quick. You can equate that to man's prostate and prostatitis, that sort of thing. Then we get cysts on the kidneys and in the bladder, tumors. I mean, this is all the lymph system. Tumors and cysts and boils and pimples and fibroids and fibrocystic problems, this is all the lymph system. It's all the lymph system. Endometriosis, what do you think? Well, going back to the lymph system again. You're going back to the lack of your ability to filter your lymph system in the endometrium wall. And so you see this everywhere. And in time it sets up fibroids or ovarian cysts or then uterine, ovarian, or cervical cancers. So the only way to find remedy is to move those lymphs, get your kidneys filtering, get your adrenal glands up, and get this on. If you're running high estrogen levels and your periods are irregular, and I will do a video on female problems. That's coming, I promise. I got so many of them to do. But you never want to take an estrogenic formula. I don't make an estrogenic formula with black cohosh, anything like that, because too many women have too much estrogen. There's a lot of estrogenic compounds out there. Soy is very estrogenic. A lot of pesticides, herbicides are estrogenic. So I don't recommend going in that route. Most women, you have to understand, ovarian functions are controlled by the pituitary, FSH. So a lot of times you have to go in and fix your endocrine glands. Well, let's go back. All the body is a bunch of cells and two major fluids. I don't care if you're talking about ovarian tissue, pituitary, hypothalamus. I don't care if you're talking about thyroid. As a matter of fact, when you talk about menopause, you're talking about thyroid problems. Hot flashes is thyroid. However, the pituitary controls the thyroid. So you always want to work on pituitary and thyroid when you're in menopause. You should not have good menopausal symptoms, or strong ones. Now, women's periods are interesting. I'll cover that, but fruitarian women shouldn't have much menses at all, because your menses is generally regulated by how toxic you are. And when you're very clean as a woman lymphatically, you only spot. Endometriosis. What would you think about endometriosis? In the case of endometriosis, endometrial tissue is growing in places that they shouldn't. Why would that be? What would be spawning or breaking down this tissue or inciting the scarring of this tissue and further moving into the fibroids from this? Going to be the lymph, isn't it? That's all. Lymph, lymph, lymph. Kidneys and adrenals, my dear one. Clean up those bowels. Go after that lymph quite heavily. You're right there with the uterus, so you should have no problem cleaning that out. Depends, you know, this stuff can grow to other tissue, grow to the bowels. Acid, acid, acid. It just wells things together, basically. That's what an acid does. It wells things together. And your uterus can weld itself to your colon. Not good. So really get on that raw, get up in there. You can douche if you can with some Heal-All tea and try to get it up in there. But systemically is really where you're going to go with this, with the kidneys, adrenals, lymphatics, clean up the bowels. Is it possible for herbs to dissolve abnormally behaving or normally behaving tissue like endometriosis? You know, this is what it is. And the acids, like you say, this is so acidic that it does glue. It's like a glue. It bonds. That's what acids do. It literally, and this is why you see a lot of uteruses bonding to the colon and stuff like this. And so you see this a lot. Endometriosis. You had a surgical procedure to remove the cyst on, and right there was a clue right there. You had a cyst on your left ovary that showed your lymph wasn't moving. That's left kidney there. Doctor discovered that internal organs were literally glued together. You have stage 4 endometriosis. All right, well, you really got to move your lymph. 2 kidney formulas, 2 lymphatic formulas. Get into the bowels, clean the bowels up, get those kidneys filtering. This is a kidney and adrenal gland issue again. Keeps coming back to the doorway to the lymph system and the inability to move lymph. The ovarian cyst was a big tie to that, and that told you immediately if the uterus is next, you know, it's coming down, because this isn't a hormonal problem. This is a lymphatic problem. And This is, I mean, you can have hormonal problems on top of it, but this is, or a steroidal problem, in other words, but this is lymph, and you get it out before you end up with a hysterectomy here, if you not already have had one. But even if you have, those ladies of you that have had hysterectomies, you still got to fix the problem. You got to still fix the kidneys and adrenal glands, because something else is coming. Go to the breast, go to the back. I mean, can't just keep removing body parts. So we see that ovarian cyst and endometriosis means she's not filtering from her kidneys. And we need to filter from your kidneys, sweetheart. So you got to get your kidneys filtering to stop these ovarian cysts from coming and going, and get this endometriosis type of, it's just sewage, and it's acidic. And to show you that is that if you're not careful, that high acid fluid acts like a welding machine and will weld your uterus right to your colon. Seen it many times. So that's what acids do. They weld things together. You know, they dehydrate, agglomerate, all these things. So you want to, I would use Hilal tea too as a douching mechanism for at least 3 or 4 weeks, once a night maybe. But you got to get you got to do this. You got to handle most of this topic internally. So you got to get your kidneys filtering, your adrenal glands up, and everything like that. I had my first operation in May 12, during which doctors removed 8 centimeter. That's a pretty big one. Ovarian cyst. 8 centimeter cyst is pretty big on the right side, together with the took her fallopian tube. My second operation was in October 13, when they removed 8 centimeter ovarian cyst on each side and checked that my second fallopian tube. Doctors also told me that I had a lot of adhesions in my pelvis, uterus with intestines, and so yeah, it's just you're burning and stripping yourself. This is just acidosis, and this is just a lymph system dog. So you've got to really get those kidneys filtering and get that lymph moving. Can't cut everything out, okay? So when we say this is a systemic problem, we really mean a systemic problem. Doctors also told me that I had a lot of adhesions in my pelvis, uterus with intestines. In January 14, that's not too far back, they found again small cyst on left side of my ovary, 2.2 centimeter. After that, I stopped eating meat. Good deal. And soya. Good. I'm glad you stopped soya, because that's soya is an estrogenic bean, and my dad in farming never had anything good to say about soybeans. None of the farmers around where I lived had anything much good to say about a soybean. I often wonder if that's why Monsanto picked it. And reduce using dairy products. Reduce, you need to get rid of. There should be no dairy products consumed. Dairy products is by far the top of the heap at clogging up the lymph system, causing excessive amount of mucus to build up in the system from dairy proteins. Dairy products, period. And I'm even referring to the kefirs too. And yogurts. These are all bad news bears. They all cause mucus, all cause tumors to grow. And what's happening with you, dear, you're just not filtering your lymph well from your kidneys. Even though I am still not eating meat, soy, and so on, it is still there with the same size. That's because you have to detox. And you give up a good example where you just can't eat better and everything will take care of itself. That's a misnomer. That's not true. You'll feel better, and a lot of people can get better by diet alone. I've seen that. It's amazing. This man got rid of arthritis just on diet alone, or he might be on some herbs, I can't remember. But anyway, some people can do this. But that's a rare nowadays because of the genetics and the kidney problems and all that. When you can do it by diet alone, great. But nowadays, you've got to enter the world of fasting. And fasting, we're throwing fruit and juices in there on fasting, but really, a tropical diet is as close to fasting as we can get. And I call this Dr. Morse's tropical diet. And that includes the fruits, the berries, and the melons. And if you have to, the fruit veggies. But really, sweetheart, you need to dig a little deeper in your detox. By just stopping foods don't make things go away.